So the next method of solving limits is by using standard limits. So standard limits means that you have certain formulas which you can use directly in your questions. So these standard formulas are divided into 5 different types. So first are algebraic standard limits. Algebraic standard limits. So within this topic, within this subheading, you have the formula limit x tends to a x power n minus a power n by x minus a is equal to n times a to the power n minus 1. So this is the first formula, first standard formula in limits. Limit something tends to a, something power n minus a power n, something minus a is equal to this power times a to the power n minus 1. So if in the standard limit you have, in the question of limits, you have something like this, you can directly use this formula n a power n minus 1. Next, you have standard trigonometric limits. Trigonometric standard limits. In this you have the formulas limit x tends to 0 sin x by x is equal to 1 and limit x tends to 0 tan x by x is also equal to 1, where x is in radians. No unit is given, x is in radians. And limit x tends to 0 sin inverse of x by x is equal to 1 and limit x tends to 0 tan inverse of x by x is also equal to 1. So these are the 4 standard limits which you need to remember in trigonometric standard limits. Then you have exponential standard limits. Exponential standard limits. So in this you have 2 formulas again. Limit x tends to 0 a power x minus 1 by x is equal to ln a or log a to the base e. Ln means log to the base e, natural logarithm. So limit x tends to 0 any number power x minus 1 by x is equal to logarithm of a to the base e. Logarithm of this base to the base e. And in the special case where a is equal to e, you have e power x minus 1 by x. Limit x tends to 0, e to the power x minus 1 by x by this formula has to be equal to ln e, that is log e to the base e, which becomes 1. And the next type of standard limits is the logarithmic standard limit. Logarithmic standard limit. So in this you have one formula which is limit x tends to 0 log 1 plus x by x. Log 1 plus x by x. The log has the base e. So log 1 plus x to the base e by x as x tends to 0 is equal to 1. So this is the logarithmic standard limit. So whenever you have a question based on logarithms, limits question in which logarithmic terms are there, you can try to use this formula. And last, you have standard limits of the type 1 power infinity. Standard limits where indeterminacy is of the type 1 power infinity. So in this you have 2 formulas. Limit x tends to 0 1 plus x whole power 1 by x is equal to e. So as you can see, as x tends to 0, 1 by x tends to infinity the indeterminacy is of the form 1 power infinity. So limit x tends to 0, 1 plus x whole power 1 by x is equal to e. And limit x tends to infinity, 1 plus 1 by x whole power x is also equal to e. So I hope you can see that this is also closely related to the previous formula, because as x tends to infinity, 1 by x tends to 0. So again it's of the form 1 plus 0 whole power infinity. So whenever you get 1 power infinity form, the answer usually is in terms of e. So these are the 5 standard types of limits which you need to keep in mind. So standard limits: algebraic type, trigonometric type, exponential type, logarithmic type, and where indeterminacy of the type 1 power infinity. So let us take each one of them and try to observe it closely.